smart enough to win. That's how the story starts. Learning is the edge that sets your work apart. When the stakes get high and the pressure never stops, smart learning in your pocket puts your business at the top.
Welcome to the Learning Advantage, from Insight to Impact, where we're going to show how smart learning fuels real business results. I'm Deb Laurel, and I'm your host. And I welcome you today. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. For over 40 years, Laurel and Associates Limited has worked alongside national and international managers to help them successfully manage employees and create and maintain a positive, healthy, and supportive work environment where employees want to stay and do their best. We focus on making lackluster leaders legendary. The purpose of the Learning Advantage, from Insight to Impact, is to discuss how smart learning fuels real business results. In each episode, we strive to deliver actionable strategies, evidence-based design tips, and real-world case studies that show how learning strengthens organizational health, advances sustainability, and drives profitability. And for that reason, I'm delighted to introduce our guest for today, Rod Colón. Rod is a career strategist and founder of Rod Colón Consulting, LLC. He is the creator of The Owner of Me, Inc., a career ownership philosophy, and author of Win the Race for 21st Century Jobs. Rod hosts Coach Rod Live, a weekly career strategy program, and serves as director of college programs for the New Jersey Governor's Hispanic Fellows Program through HISPA. His work helps professionals and students take ownership of their careers through identity, personal branding, and building a strong support network. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you, Deborah. It's awesome. I love the intro music. I thought that was just great. I'm like, oh, this is smooth. So absolutely. Thank you so much for the invite and the opportunity to share what I love with you today and with your community as well.
Oh, well, I'm so happy to have you. So I'm going to get right into the questions. When you think about learning as a competitive advantage, what does that mean in the context of your organization or your work?
Yeah, learning is something that you're doing just all the time, right? So in my philosophy, what you shared in my intro about managing one's career as an enterprise, you're the owner of a business. What business is not constantly learning, picking up information, seeking out advice? I mean, it's just constantly. So an individual who looks at learning as a perk, what is the company going to give to me, versus going out and gathering the information, what is needed, what's critical in my role, how do I advance? We need to own the learning that we get and not outsourcing it to someone else or to a manager, to an organization, or to a script. Okay, Rod, this is over the next 3 years, these are the classes you're going to be taking. Hey, that's great. But what else could I be learning? What else could I be doing? Those are things that are critically important. Don't outsource that to anyone else. You own it. Go after it.
All right. Can you share a specific example where a learning initiative moved from insight to real impact and how you measured that impact?
Let's put it this way: when I'm doing presentations, especially with our college students, and I asked them to give me like their elevator pitch, just share your story. They get uncomfortable. They're a bit awkward. They're not too sure. They may sound robotic. They may sound like, I'm really not sure. There's not much value, right? And for those who have rehearsed, it sounds rehearsed, right? So how I incorporate it as far as the impact and the insight to impact is that here I brought 100 students at a college in New Jersey, and I was sharing this whole aspect about elevator pitch, authenticity. And then I started saying, what is unique about you? And they're like, well, I'm good with people. I'm this and that. And I said, well, are you the only one that could say that? And I said, no. And the rest of the audience was like, yeah, I could say that. I could say that. I said, but no, but what's unique about you? What is totally you? And I said, it's your story. It's all of the different things that you have done in context with your character, your competence, and your accomplishments, but in story format is immensely powerful. So from a learning perspective, I'm constantly learning from the audience and what brings them and drives them. So here it is at first, bringing them in, they're like so uncomfortable. And then towards the end of the program, they're standing up and say, can I get another chance? Can I get a second chance at putting my elevator pitch? Because now I understand what I'm sharing. That was the impact and the insight. I mean, that to me is critically important. And they're always, you know what, Deborah, you have to be aware. You have to be in the moment. You have to be able to pick up these little nuggets that are scattered around in your day that you can say, ooh, that's another pearl of wisdom that I did not realize that we could take and move forward with it.
Oh, it's a great story. What do you see as the biggest barrier preventing organizations from fully embracing lifelong learning, and how do you think we can overcome it?
Yeah, this is a great question. Most individuals, when it comes to learning, is where is it written? I need to ask permission. Is it the opportunity, right? It's like we're always in the passive mode. We're always waiting for learning to attack us, right? It's like, oh, yes, it's the opportunity. Now it hit me. No, we also have to be constantly vigilant, constantly in the lookout, constantly looking at your skills and really being aware of what's going on in the industry, in the community, internationally. And how can I best leverage that? Because business owners have multiple departments, as any company does, right? But the two really important ones for the owner of Me Inc. is the sales and marketing department and the research and development department. And that R&D side of you is critically important. And it's all about learning, all about asking, all about inquiring, all about gathering information. Learning it is so important, so critical. And like I mentioned before, let's not outsource that. And don't ask for permission. And certainly when working with individuals who are, immigrants or first generation, there's a hesitancy there, right? There's just a hesitancy. And I tell them, as I've traveled to many different countries, I said, wait a second, time out. When you were in Asia, when you're in Latin America, when you're in Europe, when you're in Eastern Europe, didn't you have a side gig? Wasn't there something else going on in life? It's rare, much rarer in the United States to have a sideline. But in other countries, sidelines is like, that's normal. These are all the different things. So the whole thought of learning, understanding, what is the market demand like is something that we're always in tune. So I tell them, let's not lose that. Let's not lose that inherent thing that you've been brought up with, that here in the United States to take advantage of.
In your view, what's one outdated belief about corporate learning we need to let go of, and what should replace it?
Well, ownership is where it's at. So let me give you for instance, an example. For many years, I was using the motto, be the CEO of me, right? The chief executive officer. And so this was for many years. Even my book was about that. And I said, no, it's just not grabbing or catching or it's strong enough. Maybe it's the title. Maybe individuals cannot see themselves as a CEO. But when I made the change to owner of Me Inc., everyone understands what it means to be an owner. You're the boss. This is it. You're it. No titles. A CEO could be fired, yes, by the board of directors, board of trustees. You can't fire you. You can't fire you. So one of the things that I was always looking at is that you are not your title, right? You are not your title. You're much more than your title. You are the owner of this great enterprise. And when I ask an individual the question, when an organization puts a compensation, a package together for you, is that what you're worth? Right? So let's say they put an offer together for me for, let's say, 150,000 and 50,000 in bonus. That's the package with some stocks or whatever. Is that what I'm worth? No. That's what that company has positioned that position at, or the value of that position that the company has. But I need to value myself significantly greater than that. There's no monetary value on that, about what I can do, what I can accomplish. And that's a mindset shift that we need to approach. So that whole aspect of just, the CEO, which, yeah, I would love to be the CEO. No, we want to be the owner. We want to be the owner of me.
How are you leveraging data, technology, or new learning methods to create more personalized and effective learning experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of Santa Claude?
Say that again?
Santa Claude. Have you heard of Santa Claude?
Santa Claus? No.
Well, let me tell you about Santa Claude. And I always joke around this because Claude, AI, Claude, Anthropic's tool, Claude, and I are good friends. We're working together. We're collaborating. We're getting ideas. And to the point that I said, you know what? It's no longer Claude. It's Santa Claude, right? It's Santa Claude. So we joke around that with the kids and with the students and all of that. But it's critically important. Now, as the owner of my business, do I give Claude or any AI device the authority to speak for me? Absolutely not. That's my voice. It's my words. But can Claude or any AI tool help and support my ideas and thoughts? Absolutely. So for instance, I'm looking at all the different higher education organizations in the United States. How many do I know inside? I take my LinkedIn, my data, I download it, I upload it into Claude, and now searching my data, which is public information, becomes exponentially greater than it is on LinkedIn. That's just one tool. But as a coach, and my style of coaching is that we're on Zoom, right? So they can see my screen. They could see how I'm operating things. So when I'm guiding someone with a question or an issue or something, I can go into it, and I'm showing them also how I use AI at the same time. It's not a hidden trick or magic thing. Oh, quiet. No, I'm showing them and teaching as to how AI is a great tool to support your Me Inc. enterprise. It's powerful. So I tell there's students, and I'm sure you've heard from students as well, that say, "Oh, I'm really afraid of AI, and I'm intimidated by AI, and it's going to take my job, and I'm not going to have any." I said, "No. Time out. You're going to lose opportunities, not to AI, but you're going to lose opportunities to people who know AI." So as a business owner of your career, it's a choice. You don't have to, but understand the risk as a business owner, the risk it is not to be aware, not to embrace it, not to use it as your competition is. It's a call.
No risky call, it is.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to leaders who want to build a true culture of continuous learning, what would it be?
What today is all about, our conversation. Never give up on learning. Never stop. I mean, so here it was for me in going for my undergrad. I went 7 years of night school to get my bachelor's degree, married 3 kids, night school, summers, wasn't easy. Did it, kept on learning. Years later, went back to school for my master's in pastoral theology. Why? Well, it's this constant learning. And for me as a coach in working with individuals, having a perspective from a pastoral, theological, philosophical way helps in my coaching of individuals and understanding and appreciating them in the style that I like and the uniqueness of that. So learning is not just about, it certainly is understanding, but also learn to your areas of strength and passion. So I said, well, if I'm talking to a student, I said, well, why are you taking history? Well, I like it. I said, but what do you like about it? Well, and now the story comes out. Well, when I was young, I did this and this came out and I loved, the European culture or whatever. And what is it about it? And I've traveled there. Now we're getting to the issue. So let's learn to understand and appreciate, but also learn to strengthen your passions. Because ultimately, as I mentioned before, when I ask an individual, what is unique about you? You're going to give a statement, but that statement should also incorporate some type of story as well to give the individual who you're speaking with an appreciation, an understanding, a context, and also you sound authentic, you sound real, you sound believable than a robot just doing an elevator pitch.
What's one book, resource, or learning experience that has had a lasting impact on you personally?
Deborah, if I could point to my library of all my books here, right? So what are some really good books that have made an impact to me? Early on, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, what a classic. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, another classic. Those are just classics that I've had now for 3 decades, right? Some other books have been Keith Ferrazzi's, right? Never Eat Alone, great networking book. Networking Magic by Rick Frischman and Joe Lublin, another wonderful networking and the mechanics of networking from that perspective. But really, the ultimate book for me is Scripture, certainly the New Testament Scripture, and kind of, although difficult to emulate, but Jesus' life was one that he knew his message, and he went about it in a very humble way, and certainly, that standpoint with the pastoral theology part of me, and I always remember back to an 8th grade autograph book that I had that Mom gave me recently, and I wrote down who were my mentors or role models when I was in 8th grade, and I indicated Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Gandhi. And I would have to say that I continue, although unlike any of those 3, not even close, but at least my mission has been consistent since writing that in 8th grade.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. What would you like to add? I know you were mentioning a new project.
Yeah, one of the things, so thank you for that. The 2 things. One is every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, I have a Zoom program called Coach Rod Live, a career strategy hour, where it's free and people come and ask me their most difficult career questions. So I always like to share that, and folks, they just go to my LinkedIn profile, they'll find the information, and certainly they'll find me. There are 3 Rod Colóns on LinkedIn. You got me, you got my son, who is better looking than me, a young guy over at JP Morgan, and a gentleman in South Florida who is in water treatment systems. And I don't look like him, so that's not him, right? So yeah, you just look for me, and I'll get you that information. And the other thing, and thanks for bringing this up, is that for years I've been working with individuals in the job search and helping them to get back on their feet. And what I've realized over the years is that there's a lot of misinformation or just lack of information on how to really approach a job search. And after 29 years in helping individuals, we've laid it out to what I call 158, right? So, and using 3 pillars within the 158. So 1 means finding 1 opening per day. That's a 70% match against your skills. Doing that for 5 days a week, right? So 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And you're doing that, gets you really close. You're putting in somewhere between 5 to 8 hours per day. There's a lot of work that goes into it, from networking and documentation and leveraging your people and your friends, right? And I use what is called the three pillars or foundation of the Owner of Me Inc., which is 1, you're running a great enterprise. It's the mindset of a business owner of your career. The second is great and extraordinary paperwork. So the visual, the audio, the paperwork that you share from your business standpoint has to be really at its best quality as a business owner. And the third part of the stool is the networking, an empowered, engaged networking that most people don't know how to leverage, how to do it, how to use it. And that's something that I personally am very good at, and I teach others how to do it as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm going to have to come for networking.
Welcome.
So I was going to ask how people could get in touch with you. So LinkedIn is the best way?
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. I have a nice pool there, and it's a fantastic way. Just say that as you're in. So here it is. You can see my name and then follow me. You can follow me, but that's not what I'm asking. Connect with me. Actually, click connect with me, right? I'll be happy. And just indicate that you heard me through this Deborah's beautiful, wonderful program. If you're on LinkedIn where you are minimized, that you're not allowed to do personal invites, you only can do a regular standard invite. I'll kind of guess or sense. I'll probably email you back as to, hey, I'd love to connect with you, but tell me, how did you hear about me? And then, so we'll have a little conversation before that. The quality of networking that I do is that anyone who joins me or anyone that I extend an invitation to is someone who I know or have some relationship with. So I always like to start there first as to how I can be of help. How did you hear about me? Because I do leverage the network, and I show individuals how to leverage their network as well.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else?
This has been great. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I wish you and your network, your community, a wonderful fall season, as it's my favorite time of year. And
mine too.
Happy to help. And this to me, as you could tell, is a mission. I love what I do. I am fortunate to have found that intersection of revenue and passion, and I try to help as many individuals to find their intersection of revenue and passion as well.
Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful, and I want to thank our listeners for listening in and participating in our conversation. I hope that you learned a lot from this conversation today. Please join us next week on September 1st as we meet with Sarah Garwood, a learning operations and project management leader with extensive experience helping organizations turn training strategy into measurable business impact. And if you'd like to assess the skills of your managers or your trainers, please contact me through LinkedIn, Deborah Spring Laurel, and I can send you a free assessment that should help. And please remember that Laurel and Associates is always focused on making lackluster leaders legendary, as smart learning fuels real business results. Thank you for coming today. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Learning Advantage from Insight to Impact. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Every workshop. Every failed attempt you save becomes a map upon the desktop. Show